Hey, all you happy, peppy people. Welcome to DadsDen of Pop Culture. Today, a movie review, kind of an obscure one, and I know I do a lot of those, but what's the point of me telling everybody about, Star Wars? You know about that. Gotta every once in a while put the spotlight on these little movies that have kind of been forgotten. This is definitely one of them. Roadie, from 1980, directed by Alan Rudolph, who liked to do movies about eccentric characters. One of those was FM, which I have reviewed on this channel a year or two ago. Screenplay is by Big Boy Medlin and Michael Ventura, from a story by Medlin, Ventura, and Zalman King, who was involved with stuff like Red Shoe Diaries and 9.5 Weeks. No, don't get excited. Cinematography by David Myers, who is mostly known for documentaries on rock stars, but he also did a little something called THX 1138 and, well, the aforementioned FM. This was a vehicle for Meatloaf, and I'm not talking about that very tasty dish that your mom used to make for you. I am talking about the rock star, the rock god, the rock legend, the bat out of hell, Meatloaf. It's a quirky little film. Let's jump into this thing the way we usually do, and I will put spoilers up at a certain point. It opens to the sounds of birds chirping, a peaceful sort of desert landscape. And then we're moving down the highway and we are rocking out. And I'll tell you what, as soon as that logo shows up on the screen, I'm like, I want that on a freaking t-shirt. That is rad. We see armadillos wandering across the road. Credits are rolling. Meatloaf, Khaki Hunter, Art Carney, you may have heard of him. And then a beer truck roars by and we start seeing the rock band, rock star lineup in this movie. And that's one of the real features for me, and one of the reasons I think this would probably be a better known film. We'll talk about them as we get to them in the movie, but really that lineup alone should kind of make this thing a classic. Well, the truck roars on down the highway and eventually pulls into Redfish Manor, which appears to be a junkyard. The song playing through here claims everything works if you let it in your heart. That is kind of the philosophy of this film. The truck finally stops in front of an old house. We see that this vehicle is owned by B.B. Muldoon, played by Gaylord Sartain, well-known character actor, especially well-known for Hee Haw. And yes, I grew up on Hee Haw. I love Hee Haw. I will hear no snide remarks about Hee Haw. But go ahead and have them. It's okay. It's your right as an American. And by the way, the first person we then see is this very eccentric character, played by the great Art Carney, Honeymooners, the Star Wars Holiday Special. He is playing Corpus C. Redfish. He's sort of the patriarch of the clan, father of Travis W. Redfish, who is the hero of this story. Everybody in this movie is eccentric. And I don't mean realistically eccentric necessarily. It really kind of pushes into fantasy territory. And I think you have to consider that when you're watching the movie. To me, the best comparison for younger people, for more modern audiences, is Napoleon Dynamite. If you told me that Jared Hess was a fan of this movie, I would not at all be surprised. And I'm not suggesting that he is, but the vibe is definitely there. Corpus is sort of an inventor, lots of mechanical Rube Goldberg sort of gadgets in the house. He doesn't seem to really ever get up and move from this chair. It moves around the room for him. He has dozens of TVs all over the place. A little toy train roars by, bringing him a new cigar. And at that point, his daughter Alice comes in. She is played by Rhonda Bates. She's talking a mile a minute, and she vacuums him because he's getting a little bit dusty. I appreciate a film that right away lets you know what you're in for. A film that's sort of proud of being weird. One of his lines here, "You're sucking away all my deodorant." It's just, this is where you're going. It doesn't pretend. It doesn't try to fake you into something else. This is a weird little movie. And by the way, Rhonda Bates worked with Don Rickles, Dee Dee Cohn, Waylon Flowers, Gabe Kaplan. She was in a Love Boat episode. I mean, I have no choice but to be a fan of this woman. Well, when BB comes in, she spins and knocks him right in the crotch with that vacuum tube. And I'll admit it, I laughed. A crotch shot is often, frankly, not funny in a movie. It's overdone. It's too easy, overused. Creative people, though, can actually make it work. And those two, by the way, are an item in this film. So, there's more than one love story in the Roadie. So into this chaos, a man slowly descends to the strains of harmonica music. This is our hero, Travis W. Redfish, played by the great Meatloaf. He calmly shuts off the vacuum cleaner because she can't get it. They're all over anyways. He shuts off the vacuum cleaner, releasing BB from his predicament, says good morning to dad and sister, fixes his dad's TV remote like in an instant. And with that, he and BB head out to do their jobs. Introductions are super important in a film, and I think this one does a nice job of setting down the vibe, letting you know who these characters are, at least in a very basic way. And this, when I say vibe, this is more of a vibe movie than anything else. You're not going to be thrilling to a super tight narrative here. As they drive down the highway, they sort of dance to the music, sit dancing. Travis claims to be the greatest, like seat dancer in the world. BB mentions John Travolta here, and Travis never heard of him. Damn, Travis, the world don't end at the county line. Travis says, I don't know why. So we get another idea here. Travis, he's not well traveled, although apparently he did do a stint in the army, but not well traveled, and he does not care. Everything he has is enough for him. As they proceed on down the asphalt, they come across this RV motorhome stalled on the roadside, and Travis locks eyes with this woman and hits the brakes, skids to a stop, says, BB, that is the first woman I ever cared for as a human being. He strides over to the motorhome. A guy, Ace, played by Joe Spano, well known from Hill Street Blues. He's explaining to him that they need help. Hank Williams Jr.'s equipment is in the back of that thing, and he has to play tonight in a show presented by Mohammed Johnson, world's greatest concert promoter. Travis is barely listening the entire time. Ace claims that it's the clutch that's the problem. Hell, this thing don't have a clutch. It's an automatic. Ace calls for his Valium. He has to make some adjustments. Anybody have a nail file? I say he, Travis, has to make adjustments. Anybody have a nail file? And that woman gets out of the motorhome, and lo and behold, she has a nail file, gets down there with him. This, dear viewer, is Lola Bouillabaisse, played by Khaki Hunter, and she will drive the action of this film, or rather, Travis's love for her will drive the action of this film. She announces that she's a groupie on her way to New York City to become the greatest groupie that ever lived. Rock and roll is the greatest energy of our time. Groupies are the spark plugs of rock and roll. Travis says, I'm sort of a fuel pump myself. Okay. And then she says, with true love, anything's possible. And Travis takes note of that. We get a good indication that Ace is an ace hole, and we see him survive an encounter with two semis going in opposite directions because he's standing in the middle of the road yelling at everybody. A little reminiscent of planes, trains, and automobiles. Not quite the same thing, and not as good, honestly. Well, they need Travis to drive them to Austin, and Lola tells him that if he goes with them, she'll be his friend forever. So he goes. Little MacGyvering on this vehicle, and they're off. So we get some great indications again of Travis, what he does, how he thinks, and most importantly, what he wants. And we get a little bit of an idea of Lola. Immediately, she is working on this guy, trying to get, frankly, what she wants from him. He is talking with Lola in the front seat. She can't believe that he's never heard of Alice Cooper. Don't you ever read T-shirts? I love that line. He apparently has invited Lola to go to New York City. We will discover that her goal in life, besides being the world's greatest groupie, is for Alice Cooper to be her first time. He's the first punk, sick, depraved, and unchristian. And she says that like it's a good thing. And if you don't actually know Alice Cooper, well, at that time, maybe a little bit. Alice Cooper's changed over the years. Well, their next stop is Austin, Texas. They're 2 hours late. The crowd attacks them. Travis learns the word roadie for the first time, and he meets Mohammed Johnson, the great promoter, played by Don Cornelius, of course, well known from Soul Train. Why does your roadie remain inert? See, now he's saying that, and Travis doesn't know that he's the roadie that's remaining inert. Well, he gives them 10 minutes to set up, or Ace's career is over. He actually uses a different phrase that I'm not going to use on here because YouTube doesn't really like it. What in the hell is everybody talking about? That's what Travis is asking. The answer is rock and roll. So Travis has just been made a roadie, and he manages to do the impossible, setting up all the equipment. In only 10 minutes, Muhammad Johnson calls him the Ali of roadies. And Ace, of course, takes credit for everything he's done, taught him everything he knows. We start getting our cameos here. The camera passes by Roy Orbison in the crowd, who does the tiger growl at some ladies passing by. And, of course, everyone is there to see Hank Williams Jr. He thanks Travis on his way up to the stage. Travis asks another guy who that was. He says, it's Hank Williams Jr. He goes, oh, I loved his daddy. So Hank performs Outlaw Women, and Lola dances, and Travis cannot take his eyes off of her. Now, Muhammad Johnson is so impressed with Travis that he's ready to make Ace the tour manager of his next rock and roll circus. So Lola spots Roy Orbison, and she grabs Travis's pitcher of beer and heads over to meet them. Travis follows, and he really just wants his beer back. The pitcher spills on a girl who looks like maybe she was headed to a prom, and hot damn almighty, it's a cat fight. And so you get like a classic bar fight, but it's basically all women punching, kicking. There are wet t-shirts involved. It is classic Americana, and it ends with Hank and with Roy singing "The Eyes of Texas Are Upon You" as everyone stands and puts their hands and hats over their hearts. See, this is just a cool movie. I mean, Roy Orbison and Hank Williams Jr. are doing a duet. This is why this should be a cult movie. Well, the song over, Travis wants to get Lola the heck out of there, but the dude whose little sister got beer poured on her challenges him. Essentially, they're going to butt heads like two stags, and they do. It is a bizarre scene, which results in Travis winning, but he goes into brain lock. Now, brain lock is going to be important in this movie. It isn't only just brought on by physical duress, but usually there's some kind of hit to the head. It happens to Travis from time to time, and basically he's sort of stunned. Everything's a little off, and the sounds are a little weird in his ears, and he just starts babbling all these weird thoughts that come into his head. Your roadie is damn weird, but he's damn good. I want him in L.A. tomorrow. So Ace gets the job with Muhammad, and Travis is going along for the ride, whether he wants to or not. Ace tells him it's like running away with the circus, and he's, of course, still in brain lock while he's hearing this, so he has no idea what's going on. Ace tells Lola that she is now going to earn her keep. She needs to get Travis to drive them to the airport in Muhammad's limo. She looks a little uncomfortable with the assignment. Travis follows, of course, wherever Lola wants him to go. Locked in his trance, he roars out of the parking lot, screaming. Soon cops are in hot pursuit. BB is in pursuit of the police because he was meeting him at that bar, after he was done working. If you ever wanted to see a car chase through Austin, Texas, here is your chance. And it's a really well-shot film, really well-shot sequence. But the film, good artistic sense throughout the whole thing, very pretty to look at. There's a sequence during the chase reminiscent of the hallway chases in Scooby-Doo, except it involves, a limo and like 3 or 4 cop cars and a big beer truck. As you look down at the Texas Capitol and they're going back and forth, it's really, frankly, well done. It ends with Travis driving the car into the back of this old, like, C-130 transport or something like a C-130. I know somebody's going to correct me on this one, probably. I didn't look it up. I'm talking in vagaries here. The plane takes off for L.A., and BB's beer truck ends up mounting a police car. It's a very tender scene. On the plane, Travis almost wanders off the plane in mid-flight because of that brain lock, and he finally faints. Well, back at the Redfish Manor, BB fills Corpus in about what happened. Corpus is amazed that a woman got Travis out of Texas and that she penetrated his brain lock. Well, Travis finally wakes up the next morning out of brain lock and discovers he's in Los Angeles. Lola tells him that she's that he's going to work for them because Muhammad said he was his good luck white man, and Lola knew he'd do anything for her, and you get the idea. She talks like about a mile a minute, too. Now, Travis has a thing for Lola, but he doesn't like her making promises for him. The thing is, he is not exactly a simp for this woman, but he does love her, as in love at first sight, but it's actually a pretty real sort of deep love, because Travis doesn't do anything halfway. If it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. But I think it's important that this isn't just like, a guy who's kind of a dope. Like, when he fell in love with her, it was the real thing. That doesn't mean he can't disagree with her and get angry at her. It's, like real love. Well, Lola ends up crying in this scene. He ends up apologizing, how this goes. He goes, I didn't hit you or nothing, You hit me in the heart. And those tears disappear, though, as soon as he promises to stay and do everything that you wanted him to do. Travis and Lola head off in Muhammad's Mercedes to run errands, and he finds out that she is, in fact, only 16 and a runaway from Oklahoma. And he also finds out about her gift. She knows whenever a good song is on the radio, no matter what station it is. So she just suddenly goes, hey, so-and-so's on, or Jerry Lee Lewis, I think it was Jerry Lee Lewis is on the radio, and she turns it, and there he is. Now, laugh if you will, but, I kind of wish I could do that, honestly. She says, I can't stand apple pie. I'll eat chili till I die. So she's like, fancies herself a rebel, and Travis knows he has a handful here. We get this cute sort of cameo here as we hear Mr. Frampton being paged over the hotel intercom. You see those two guys there. This is followed by some expository info from Ace. He sent Travis and Lola to fetch a box of white powder. It's in a Tide box, but it's not actually detergent. And he's not worried if they get caught, because then he can get rid of Travis, who he really doesn't like. When we see Travis and Lola picking up the Tide in a bulletproof case, we see that the Blues Brothers are watching them. You can see kind of where this film falls into the category of quote-unquote travel logs. It's a travel log of the times more than of places, although they do move around a lot. It's a travel log of what and who were popular in the culture at the time, or, maybe a particular corner of the pop culture at the time. And those movies are important. They fill you in on the time period better than just, say, reading about it would. Well, the plan goes awry when they end up at a laundromat, actually trying to wash clothes in the white powder. Doesn't work, but an old lady is extremely happy to trade them her Tide for their Tide once she figures out what's actually in that box. Now, this is maybe an obvious bit of comedy, but it also reveals that Lola might not be the sophisticated woman and worldly woman that she thinks she is or claims to be, since she did not know what that stuff actually was. Well, the old lady leaves, I should say, for a Grey Panthers meeting. The Blues Brothers enter, and Travis has just about had it with hearing about Alice Cooper from Lola, because she's just obsessed with the guy. He goes, you're some kid who ought to go back to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I ought to go back to Texas where I belong. And then the Blues Brothers strike, except they're really just cops, and the coke that they're after is now gone. Well, while the cops are trying to arrest them, she's yelling at Travis that she's a virgin, and he's asking how she could be a groupie if she's a virgin. Like I was saying, she's not really what she claims to be or thinks she even wants to be. It's actually a funny scene, because while they're yelling that, the cops think they're talking to them. A little bit of Abbott and Costello stuff going through there. It ends with her telling Travis that she wants her first time to be the best, and thus with Alice Cooper. The show that night, the talent is going to walk because there is no coke. Lola enters, and Ace chews her out and almost hits her. Travis intercepts. Now, hitting her would be such a bad idea. When the talent sees what Travis does to Ace, and they see that Travis is unhappy about them not playing because it might make Lola cry, they change their mind, and it turns into this very sort of Meatloaf song between him and Lola about whether or not she's a failure. Now, it's not really a song. He doesn't actually sing in the movie, but it's got that feel. They're on stage, the band is playing, he's saying things, he's moving. It's got a very Meatloaf feel to it, if you've seen some of that older stuff that he's done. I love how Travis sort of wanders blindly through all this stuff, but not blind really, just kind of blind to all the BS around him, but laser focused on his principles and what he wants, which in this case is Lola, the only woman he has ever cared for as a human being. It becomes this nice connection, though, between them, but of course, it isn't the end. The scene ends, though, with an earthquake and Travis believing that Lola loves him. Well, the rock and roll circus travels on. We get some cute moments between Travis and Lola, but when they get close, she brings up the fact that she's saving herself for Alice Cooper. Travis still is just not number one in her heart. He storms out. She watches him leaving, kind of just maybe starting to understand how deeply he feels for her. And he winds up drinking with Bird, the old roadie, who is kind of a loser, really doesn't do anything. They're complaining about women. You know, by the way, there's a Tasty Freeze in the background, which is awesome. But he's kind of talking about all the women that he's known. And then Lola comes into his life and everything is chaos. Back on the road, the radio dude says that the people are trying to put an end to rock and roll shows because, well, here's the excuse, the energy crisis. Travis and Lola are arguing. They're not really talking to each other, but they kind of are talking to each other. And then some important information is dropped concerning the amazing amount of energy contained in meadow muffins, in cow pies, you know, in cow shit, basically. They could run the whole damn country off of it. Well, hell, they already do. Folks, nothing changes. Nothing changes at all. We are still running the country off of BS. Another show, another crowd. Wouldn't you just know the authorities are there to cancel it because there's just no power. We can't spare the power. There's an energy crisis. We can't have any power for rock and roll. But wouldn't you know it, Travis saves the day. It starts with a call to home to confer with Dad. We get a couple different little themes, mottos for this movie. Like everything else, son, it'll work if you let it. And then also, I like this one. If you can't buy one, then make one. Well, thanks to something I think that Lola said, Travis gets an idea. Sets people to gathering cow patties from the fields. He grabs some machinery. And soon he has this generator that is powered by BS, which I think is a clear metaphor for the music industry. And of course, Debbie Harry is there. She thanks Travis for saving the show with a little kiss. Somebody ain't too happy about that. She is starting to get some feelings, maybe. So we get music, Blondie doing Ring of Fire, which is very cool. While Travis is listening, Lola is eating her heart out, trying to teach him a lesson, going from RV to RV, but we kind of know nothing's actually happening there. And then he takes this header onto the stage, and he winds up back in brain lock. And we also, by the way, in this bit, we get a Judy, Judy, Judy. If you know where Judy, Judy, Judy originally comes from, put it in the comments and win a special no prize. Who started the Judy, Judy, Judy bit, which usually you say, I was doing the Goober Pile version, but usually it's done in Cary Grant's voice. Judy, Judy, Judy. If you know where it came from, let me know in those comments. Well, Travis ends up being taken while brain locked to this hotel by Blondie. And Mohammed Johnson, by the way, has now been inspired to run for president. And, you know, nobody does the Nixon, victory signs anymore. That used to be, all over the place. If you were doing political stuff, I am not a crook. We don't really get the little V's anymore, but that is what he's doing right there. Well, at any rate, Travis ends up in the limo with the band, sort of freaking everyone out. They're all sort of talking about random stuff. He ends up in this little honky tonk with Debbie Harry. It's Asleep at the Wheel performing in the background. Very cool. And all of this might seem pointless, and it sort of is, but maybe that's the point of the whole thing is being pointless and how, our lives are made up of a lot of stuff that kind of seems pointless at the time, but it does build. It does turn us into who we are. Well, Debbie's talking about outlaws and how there aren't any outlaws anymore and how she loves outlaws. and Travis doesn't know what's going on. RV finally shows up to gather Travis, who's been in brain lock this entire time. He's inside dreaming about home to the sounds of the band singing about Texas. And this finally brings him out of his brain lock. He introduces himself to Debbie, manages to kiss her hand just as Lola walks in. And he and Lola start having this big argument. Love, jealousy, pride, the whole schmear. You can't insult me like that. I don't have to insult you. You insult yourself. And he's actually kind of right. She does with the way she behaves. Oh, and while they're arguing, we get another bar fight between a band of little people and Blondie. And then they start getting pelted with tires thrown by Travis. It's pure insanity, and I love it. As Asleep at the Wheel bids us a good night, Travis drags Lola off, finally, to visit New York City because he is tired of hearing about it and Alice Cooper. He is going to call her bluff. Fade to New York City. We immediately get a Midnight Cowboy reference again, reinforces the idea that we're sort of traveling through the pop culture landscape, relevant to folks who were growing, up in 1980 or sort of grown up in 1980. So not really me. I was just a little squirt then, but every generation gets one of these kind of movies or more than one. And this is, it's an interesting one. Well, Travis goes tearing across New York with Lola in tow. She's babbling about, how some people say things because they want them to be true, but it doesn't mean that they are true, though, just because they want them to be true. I think she's trying to tell him something, but he's not listening. She wants to meet Alice Cooper, so she is going to meet Alice Cooper. And by the way, you get some really nice street scenes through here in New York in 1980, if you're into that kind of thing. Wait a second. Unless that's no, it's not a set. It's definitely New York City. So nice line here. You've got to be real careful about what you want in this life because you just might get it, right? She's going to get what she's been asking for, and he knows that it may not be what she really needs in life. Well, she wants to know what he's going to do. He is going to get her to Alice, make sure he lives up to all of his promises that he supposedly made to her so they can have a great reunion and he can be rid of her at last. So the Blondie concert and that song about Texas were sort of the last straw for him. Look, he loves the girl, but he's just about had it. He wants to go home and he is done playing games with Lola. Just about when she's figuring out that she loves the big lug, ain't it always the way? They burst into the venue. The mics go nuts, squealing. And then she sees him, Alice Cooper. Well, Travis confronts him, tells him he's going to keep his promises. He goes, yeah, I always keep my promises. And you are getting the feeling, again, that Lola light her butt off because he's saying, I'm going to keep my promises, but he has no idea, obviously, what Travis is talking about. So Travis storms off and Lola yells his name after him. And then Alice realizes who he is. This is Travis W. Redfish, the greatest roadie who has ever lived. And Alice needs him. So he sends the guards after him. They catch up to him, invite him to dinner with Alice. He agrees, but there are some conditions. Lola wants the snake to go to dinner with them. Okay, the snake. And he has to wear the black leather and the makeup. All right. And then she's whispering this to Travis, and then he goes, and the red cup thing? Alice says, oh, that comes with the black leather. Again, there's these little lines in this thing that I really just love. So they're at dinner, and he's got one of those little squeeze things, and Alice is saying, I'm two people. I'm my own self during the day, a likable guy, and then at night I turn into him. Just feels like everything's going to pop out of my head at once. And Lola and Travis are just staring at him while he talks. He really just wants Travis to fix his sound system for him. That's all he's really looking for. I love it. I love Alice Cooper. I love that he's in this and he's just playing it because, again, you got all the crazy, but he's just this musician and a businessman who just needs his sound system fixed. And that is what he is focused on. And Travis says, all right, I'll do it for a bus ticket home. He says, a bus ticket? I'll give you the whole darn bus. And Lola asks, well, what about me? What about her? And Alice replies, what about her? You keep your promises. I always keep my promises. So again, he has no idea. He promised her nothing. Well, Travis jerry rigs a new sound system for them. We get to hear the band play, a little rehearsal. Back home, though, they're getting ready for a wedding. And Travis is definitely depressed. Just tells him on the phone that he loves them. And then he says bye. We kind of get this pan out. The quest for Lola is apparently over. I really love how this movie does not shy away, by the way, from color. We are coming out of the 1970s where there was lots of bleak and brown, a bit of gray in the movies. And this is a throwback to something else. And there were other movies like that at the time. But I really love that the sense of color in it is really, really nice. It really pops. It really is quite beautiful. Well, Travis visits the concert that night. He sees Lola in the front row. And then she turns and she sees him. And he leaves. She runs after him, feeling that ache in her heart. But she tells him that they invited her on the next tour if she can bring him. And he just looks at her. And she doesn't get it yet. And he gets in the bus, says Texas or bust. And he says, my sister and my best friend are getting married. And that means a lot to me. And if I'm not at their wedding, I'm going to feel like a bigger fool than I do right now. She says, oh, well, Redfish, you can't ask me to go with you now. And he says, I didn't say a word, did I? She's not getting it. Redfish, this is my dream. I might never get a second chance. And he says, you probably won't. The door closes. The bus pulls away. Well, back home, it is wedding time. Folks are drunk and yelling. We are gathered here in the eyes of Texas God and everybody else. But despite the chaos, this is a family that loves. And love is really the point of the whole movie. And of course, the point of everything else. Which is why it's the point in so many movies and books, etc. So Travis is home. He gets there, but he gets a call during, kind of after the ceremony, but during the party. Gets a call and rushes back out. Turns out she had another dream, more important than Alice Cooper. I have something to tell you. Oh, no, you don't have to tell me nothing. I do. No, you don't have to say nothing. I didn't. You didn't? I missed you. They drive away. She says, I'm not going to be a groupie anymore. You're not? Wow, she's finally getting it. She's finally growing up. I'm going to be a certified psychic. She's going to use her radio powers to help people. I'm not really sure how. Just when they're about to kiss, her gift tells her something is about to happen. He says, you're darn right it is. Then the bright lights descend. They're off to weirder adventures with Travis and Lola as they have to help repair a UFO. All right. So we have a couple things going on in this weird little movie. One, we have this messy, chaotic, weird little love story, and it is a love story. It's not a lust story. It's a love story. It's really amazing how conservative so many movies were back in the day when they weren't maybe trying to. Or maybe we now consider these things conservative when they weren't exclusively conservative. The idea of true love, the idea of something more than just sex. But that was getting pushed a lot back in those days in movies. But at the same time, a lot of them kind of saw it wasn't enough and that love was really a lot more important. True love, heartache, etc. We also get this journey through the pop culture landscape of the late 1970s into the we're kind of getting into the 1980s. We get lots of cool bands and cameos, little references to things that were, a thing at the time. It's one of those kind of movies that sort of look, hey, this is our stuff. Whatever generation was watching this is our stuff. This is our stuff. It's not the older stuff that the slightly older people liked. It ain't the stuff that people are going to like coming up. It's us. So, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Blues Brothers, Midnight Cowboy, right? The music of the time period. You get all that. Lots of eccentric characters, and frankly, they worked for me. The performances worked for me for the most part. A couple that I wasn't as into, but this is one of those movies that feels very handmade and very indie, and I really like that. Critics did not like it. I just don't think they got it. And that's cool. Not everybody would, and not everybody really would see the bugs as features. It's for a particular group of people who are just going to really kind of dig this movie. It is a vibe. It's something you just kind of chill to. I'm one of those people. But again, the critics really weren't. The writer was not real happy about it. And I totally respect that because he had something different in mind. And hey, he wrote it. But if you just take it on its own, I really kind of dig this weird little movie. Like I said, it reminds me of Napoleon Dynamite. If you hated Napoleon Dynamite, I think you might not really dig this movie. And vice versa. If you liked Napoleon Dynamite, that weird sort of vibe, eccentric people who are a little bit off, but maybe good at heart, I think you might dig this. It's weird, lots of color, lots of heart. And then, holy crap, as I was finishing up prepping this thing, I'm scanning through the credits, and I see Kurtwood Smith. And I'm going, Kurtwood Smith? As a security guard. And there he is. I totally did not notice it in 2 viewings that was him. But there he is. Awesome. Anything with Kurtwood Smith is awesome. So that, folks, is my review of Roadie from 1980, a Meatloaf vehicle. Should maybe be kind of a cult classic. Check it out. You might dig it. It's a weird little vibe, but you do get some really cool cameos in it. Blondie, Hank Williams Jr., Roy Orbison, etc. Give it a look and let me know in the comments what you think of it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Maybe subscribe, maybe share with a friend. That would be very cool. But until next time, God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Have a little bit of fun out there. Watch Roadie. And I will hopefully see you again soon in Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Bye-bye.